Again, I'm Relicia Holman. I am a native of Ashtabula. As she mentioned, I am a small business owner and council person elect for Ward 3. A couple of things that I just want to say about Liam before we get started is that I want to thank him for his time and effort in creating this presentation. You look around, we don't have very many really young people in the room. But I want Liam to know that I appreciate him. We tried to figure out whether he's a millennial or one of those other categories, and we couldn't figure it out, but we know that he's younger than us. But in his youth, there are a couple of things that I want to note, that he was very timely in all of our communications. Whether we met via Zoom or text messages or phone calls, he was always prepared and effective in his communication with us. I also want you to know that he researched quite a bit that you will find in his presentation. Not just locally, but he went beyond the local area to show that he really did a thorough job in his research. I found that he worked inclusively. He worked with people whether they filled a survey out, or whether he called you on the phone and spoke with you, or he sent you an email, but there were multiple ways that he sought to connect with people so that this is an inclusive piece of work. Finally, I want to say that he worked with us very collaboratively across the generation. He's knowledgeable, he brought a great sense of energy, passion, and you'll see he's very optimistic about the topic. So, here you are, Liam. Welcome.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Relicia and Marty, for giving me this opportunity. Just to touch on it, this will obviously be about sustainable Ashtabula. Originally, when this project started, we were trying to figure out how we can implement sustainability into downtown. With my education and what I've learned over at BW, I've learned that sustainability is a lot more than just one area, but it's the whole community. So that's really what this project will focus on. Just giving a brief overview of what we'll be talking about. I'll give a brief personal introduction next. It'll be followed by a project overview. I'll define what sustainability is, more importantly what sustainable development is, followed by my Swot Analysis that will have information both from my virtual interviews with community stakeholders as well as the information gathered through my survey. Following that, I'll lead into what sustainable Ashtabula is, followed kind of by what the framework that will follow, being sustainable communities. Then following that will just be some next steps. As for myself, I'm a 2018 Edgewood grad. I played football there. I'm a big guy, so I'm sure you can probably guess that. But I went to BW back in 2018, not really knowing what I wanted to do. I actually went in as a sport management major, but luckily through a lot of help from my advisor who's here today, Dr. Kruger, along with a lot of flexibility with my football coaches and everything, we were able to find a major that really suited my interest, which is sustainability. Over the duration of that and just kind of learning what sustainability is, I started getting a true passion, so to say, which would be like urban planning and city management. Following that, I declared 3 minors, now 2 minors. So my 2 current minors are in management and urban studies. And my main activity right now that's taking up a lot of my time, we actually have a game down in Virginia on Saturday, is football. That's always been another key staple in my life. Like I said before, my career interests really lie in sustainable urban planning and design. This upcoming spring, I'm looking to pursue a certificate in GIS from Kent State, and hopefully in the fall get accepted and pursue a career in urban design and get a master's in urban design. So just giving more about the project overview. The purpose of this study was to determine the feasibility of creating a sustainable development plan that will encourage economic development in downtown Ashtabula. And the goal and project focus overall was for me to develop innovative solutions to create a one-of-a-kind sustainable downtown district development plan. This is through harvesting relationships with community stakeholders, whether they're elected positions, community residents, business owners, kind of the whole, just everyone that has a stake in Ashtabula, pretty much. I did this to determine their understanding of what sustainability is, and also to assess their level of buy-in to implementing sustainable change in their community revitalization efforts. And overall, my deliverables here today, I'm giving a sustainable Ashtabula pitch along with this presentation. So what is sustainable development? So all this information is taken directly from an environmental consulting firm based out of Cleveland, Ohio. It's Emerald Built Environments. I'm actually interning them after this internship, so it's kind of funny how those pathways kind of cross. But I think it's pretty cool. They state that an effective economic development plan can be created through the use of long-term planning, along with the implementation of sustainable principles in the three major pillars of our world. This is also known as triple bottom line, which is people, profit, planet. I'll be harping a lot on the triple bottom line throughout this presentation because it's truly what is important to kind of all of our lives living in one big community. Overall, this plan will focus on three main things that kind of follow that same pattern of the triple bottom line of economic growth, which follows the profit, environmental protection, which obviously follows the planet, and social inclusion, which covers the people. Economic growth is defined as building a strong competitive economy, that ensuring that sufficient land of the right type is available in the right places at the right time to support growth and innovation, along with identifying the coordinating development requirements. All this is saying is you want your community to be ready at all times, whether for current economic situations or future economic situations. You never know who will come into your community and fall in love with it. So you have to be ready at all times to take advantage of those situations. As for environmental protection, it's contributing and protecting and enhancing our natural world and developed environment while helping to improve biodiversity, use of natural resources wisely, minimizing waste and pollution, and adapting to helping to decrease climate change. This is also including a global shift to a low carbon economy. Basically what this is saying is our world is already shifting towards adjusting to climate change. Climate change is a real issue. It's a very pressing issue in a lot of areas. Luckily, in Ashtabula, we don't have to experience it as much in the case of droughts because we have the Great Lake. But everything that we do as operating a business or being a resident of Ashtabula, we have to take care of our environment too. Because if our environment gets destroyed, then there's numerous effects. One, it affects aesthetic value. Two, it affects health. And it makes it really hard to live and operate a business here in Ashtabula as well. And the third is social inclusion. It's important to support strong, vibrant, and healthy communities by providing a supply of housing required to meet the needs of present and future generations. This is by creating high quality developments with accessible local services that reflect the community's needs and support its health, social, and cultural well-being. I think this speaks for itself. As a community, it's our responsibility to take care of one another, especially here in downtown. Every business down here, what you do affects the other business. Attracting individuals down here to shop, live, to play, it obviously will affect one another. So that's kind of where that's coming from, as well as offering the correct services to the right people. One of the most pressing issues right now, I know there's been a lot in City Council about it, is the homeless issue. And taking care of our homeless is it's our responsibility just as much as it's anyone else's. So we really need to take into account all people, address all issues at hand, and work in a collaborative effort to make it better. So this kind of gives a visual representation of the triple bottom line, or the three P's once again. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a good society without a booming economy and a protected and well-nourished environment. And it's kind of like these three pillars: social, environmental, and economic. If one of these pillars goes down, then likely of the other 2 pillars going down is pretty high. So that just gives you a visual of what the triple bottom line truly is. So now for the data collection and survey part of this project. So originally, I had a very long list of people to call and contact. And I was able to get a good response from about 15 community stakeholders through virtual interviews and meetings. And the information provided here helped me build my Sustainable Ashtabula community-wide survey. From just talking with these people and having a really tough time managing my time towards when football started, me and Marty both agreed that a survey would have been probably smart to begin with, let alone just getting it out there to so everyone in the community can benefit from it. So this survey ended up being a comprehensive community-wide survey that does basically what the project entails. It's assessing Ashtabula stakeholders' understanding, along with their level of buy-in for implementation of sustainability within the community, along with individual input that contributed to my SWOT analysis. So this survey, if you haven't taken the survey, there's a QR code on the forms in front of you that if you take a picture with your phone, you can take it. It'll lead you right there. And if not, you can just send me an email and I'll gladly send the survey along to you. But that went live about August 10th. And just in that time alone, I've gathered nearly 90 responses from community stakeholders across the area. It's a very diverse array of stakeholders, from just normal residents, business owners, individuals who grew up here and moved away, people that come to Ashtabula for tourism or to visit the lake. We were able to get a pretty clear understanding of what Ashtabula stakeholders truly want. So now for the SWOT analysis. These are in order of how individuals on the survey ranked in importance of each strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. This directly relates to downtown Ashtabula as a whole. As for strengths, geography was ranked #1, and I truly do agree with that. We have one of the greatest assets that anyone in the world would learn to recognize, and that's Lake Erie. Being a lakefront community, we have to use that to our advantage. We also have the Ashtabula River, which is absolutely beautiful if you go down to the Gulf and you walk and do trails, do anything down there. And also the surrounding area as a whole. Ashtabula County is very rural in the sense. You can get a true sense of nature just driving 5 minutes down the road, and that's a beautiful thing that we need to use to our advantage. Another strength would be the low cost of living. Living here definitely costs a lot cheaper as to living in the big cities. That's a major strength. Along with that is historical preservation, especially here in downtown. There's a rich history here that needs to be tapped into once again. Preserving our history, building off our history, and learning from our history is a key to success in the future. And this kind of falls in line with the redevelopment as well. Location, I know I mentioned geography, but also proximity to, I'd say, 5 or 6 major U.S. cities that are within a 4 and 5 hour drive of here. People are always looking for places to travel, and Ashtabula needs to continue to use their location to their advantage. They're doing a great job in regards to tourism and attracting people here that are from either neighboring communities or neighboring metropolitan areas. It's truly in a very strategic location, especially with 90 and 11 as well. It's very easy to get to. In the term blank slate, if you drive downtown, down Main Ave, there's a lot of room for improvement, obviously. But the areas that have gotten the love and have gotten people to invest in it look beautiful. They've been operating and thriving. But the areas in between those places are kind of what is considered the blank slate. We need people to come in and invest. We need people to look at these areas as, oh no, it's not a decrepit, vacant property, but more so as an opportunity, because it's time to redevelop those areas. And also the final strength is that there's quiet wealth in the community. I've heard time and time again that there isn't money here, but that just isn't the case. Every community has money, but a lot of the money leaves in terms of, say, retirement, people who travel to Florida, people travel to different places. I know personally when I lived here, where we'd go shopping would be Erie and Menor. That shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't have to drive 30, 40 minutes in order to get our things. So that kind of falls in line with kind of where our opportunities lie as well. As for weaknesses, there's a lack of capital for local businesses to renovate existing properties, as well as absentee and difficult building owners. These are two of the most pressing issues, especially when you're trying to revitalize your community. If there's people that lay in the way of progress, all you can do is really try to work with them. But it takes a community effort to work with these people and to encourage change. This also falls in line with the building vacancy weakness as well. Other things are crumbling infrastructure. In some places it's very hard to get around. Sidewalks, riding your bike, it's hard. And to encourage sustainable change, say, instead of taking your car just to walk, you have to make it easier for people to walk and get places. Curb appeal as well. I think the ADDA and Ashtabula is doing a great job with our current properties down here on Main Ave. There's a lot of beautiful frontages that I think compete with any downtown that's bustling across Northeast Ohio for sure. And I think that needs to continue to be an improvement. Then retainment of young people, and then I kind of fall in this category as well. There is a problem with the retainment of young people, as many people are trying to leave, trying to quote-unquote get out, and that's an issue because with a continuing declining population, there needs to be people here that are going to be stakeholders here for a long time, and those are the young people. Homelessness, like I addressed before, is another major weakness of downtown. Innovation. There needs to be an improvement of mixed use that gives people, not only young people, but all people, general access to the downtown area as a whole. Because when people live down here, they're more likely to shop down here, they're more likely to spend their time down here, and they're more likely to talk fondly down here and to get people down here. Human capital. There is a lot of people working towards their personal visions of what will make Ashtabula better, but there needs to be a collaborative effort between people working towards a singular goal. And other weaknesses were food deserts and low education levels. I know the area as a whole, the schools don't really grade out the best, and that's just a reflection of how much we invest in and how much we focus on it. Individuals that are both in our school systems and out of our school systems should have opportunity and should be encouraged to go to school and to get educated on on anything, because knowledge is power. And ultimately, the final weakness is housing stock. Finding affordable housing for a lot of people seems to be a pressing issue that came up a lot on my surveys. And obviously, it's important having a wide diversity of housing options for people to move into. As for opportunities, I think there is, and this once again is in the order of the survey, improving land, space, and use. There's a lot of vacant land, especially in and around downtown. I think better placemaking and better use of these areas, even just for public use, would be a key opportunity to attract people, especially downtown, to here and make the area more livable, which is the second opportunity. Increasing livability involves green spaces and walkability and biking and jobs and places where people can shop and eat and do just about everything. Increasing livability needs to be a key down here. Another opportunity needs to be continuing to give access to buildings to customers and to people that are potential investors. There needs to continue to harp on that and continue to focus on attracting investors, being open to new ideas, being open to new opportunities. Other opportunities involve infrastructure upgrades, especially with the current federal bill that was passed. There is money that will be there to improve our infrastructure. We need to continue to build on our tourism. As a county, I think Ashtabula has grown tremendously in the tourism front, and people proven that they want to visit here and spend their money here and spend time here, and then that's the important thing. Other opportunities are the growing 50-plus demographic. I know that many people that lived and grown up here and worked their entire lives here, that they're committed to staying here and seeing the community thrive again. And we must use that to our advantage, because we can use all that help. Other opportunities would be improving mixed use, just encouraging mixed use along our denser strip, especially here in downtown. Having people once again live, work, and play down here is key to any sustainability in terms of economics. A homeless program is another opportunity, helping these people get off the streets, giving them the proper resources needed to help them get on their feet, help them to become valuable stakeholders once again in our community, because everyone here is needed. Other opportunities would be like geographical connection, especially to the Indian trails in the Gulf. It's right there. And I think connecting downtown to that area would be extremely beneficial, not only to connecting or to increasing the livability in downtown, but also connecting the park systems directly with downtown. Another opportunity would be a tree canopy program, and I'll touch on this later, but tree canopy program does numerous benefits. Other increasing aesthetic value, also decreases energy costs, increases property values, and so on. And other opportunities would be the low cost of living. We need to continue to keep our low cost of living. We need to use this to our advantage to attract people here. Threats, and I bolded this one, there's a lack of a cohesive community vision. And then that's what sustainable Ashtabula will truly be. Other threats are funding. There's a level of buy-in by stakeholders. People are hesitant to commit to such things. Other threats are retention of young adults, education levels, and political instability. Now for what Sustainable Ashtabula truly is. The mission, it's based off of Sustainable Cleveland's initiative, that living and growing as a sustainable city will ensure Ashtabula's longevity. A sustainable Ashtabula will engage all community stakeholders to work together to design and develop a unique and resilient Ashtabula that leverages its wealth of assets to build an economic, social, and environmental well-being for all. And there's that triple bottom line again. Sustainable Ashtabula will look to build upon the triple bottom line and get everyone included, and to just follow that overall. So the Sustainable Ashtabula initiative is based off a small firm outside of the Washington, D.C. area, which is called the Institute of Sustainable Communities. This corporation works with cities, both low population, high population levels, to meet sustainable, let's say, sustainable guidelines. They define a sustainable community as taking into account and addressing multiple human needs, not just one at the exclusion of others. It is a place where people of diverse backgrounds and perspectives feel welcome and safe, where every group has a seat at the decision-making table, and where prosperity is shared. It takes a long-term perspective, focusing on and anticipating, and along with adapting to change in both present and future. A sustainable community manages its human, natural, financial capital to meet current needs while ensuring that adequate resources are available for future generations. Now for the four things that build into the elements of sustainable communities. As once again, you will see aspects of the triple bottom line here. The first one is leadership and civic engagement and responsibility. The second is ecological integrity, economic security, then social well-being. In order to show proper leadership, civic engagement, and responsibility, it's important to give equal opportunity for all individuals to participate and influence decisions that affect each of their lives. Inclusion is key. There needs to be an adequate access to public information. There needs to be a way that the city and community organizations reach out to community stakeholders and let them know what's going on within their community. You'll have more buy-in that way. A viable non-governmental sector that focuses directly on community organizations such as the ADDA and Lift Bridge Association and so on. We need to continue to embrace these organizations, but we also need to continue to work together rather than going at each other. Next one would be an atmosphere of respect and tolerance of diverse viewpoints, beliefs, and values. No matter what anyone's beliefs are, they're important. Someone can always bring in a new viewpoint that, say, you wouldn't think of. So it's always important to accept what other people say, have open ears, and be open to it. Encouraging individuals of all ages, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, religious, and physical ability to take responsibility based upon a shared vision. Here's a shared vision. Getting our school systems involved in such an initiative would educate our youth, no matter the ages. As long as holding community events and different like panels to educate the whole community on what sustainability truly is. And overall, don't compromise the sustainability of other communities. Instead of working individually, it's important to work inclusively with surrounding communities to build a greater area for all. For ecological integrity, it takes satisfaction of basic human needs for clean water, clean air, and nutritious, uncontaminated food. This comes from local sourcing of food and farms, local sourcing within our businesses, getting things where we know where they come from. That's a key to ecological integrity. Other things would be protection and enhancement of local and regional ecosystems and biological diversity. It's a key to protect our environment in every decision that we make. If there's even a threat or potential threat of environmental concerns, it's important to educate and tell the community and get a basis of what the community seeks in regards to that decision. There needs to be conservation of water, land, and energy, along with non-renewable resources that include maximum feasible reduction, recovery, reuse, and recycling of waste. Simple solutions to this would be LED lighting, like rain barrel programs, certain things I'll mention later on in this presentation that just work to minimize your effect and footprint on the area. Utilization and prevention of strategies and appropriate technology to minimize pollution emissions. Getting the best technology possible, especially in downtown, is going to be key and important. I know, talking with Rick before, that there's opportunities to get LED lighting down here, and that's going to be a key. Not only will it make the area brighter, but it will lower energy costs and lower emissions. And simple solutions like that are what make the big difference. And ultimately, using of renewable resources no faster at the rate of renewal. This includes, say, like windmills and solar panels and stuff like that. You want to implement these things in an incremental process to slowly combat the use of fossil fuel resources. As for economic security, we know that a diverse and financial viable economic base is needed in order to have economic security. With this, you need to have a reinvestment of resources in the local economy, local, helping local, local sourcing, buying from other local areas that might be in Ashtabula City, but say in South County, we're a huge agricultural area, so using local source food can be a key to, say, operating a restaurant and doing stuff like that. Also, maximization of local ownership of businesses. You want the people that own the businesses here to live here and want to spend their money here, want to help contribute to building the community. Meaningful employment opportunities for all citizens. This comes with a diverse array of businesses as well. The more diverse your economy is, the more people you can suit in regard to giving valuable and meaningful economic opportunities for all citizens. The final thing of economic security is provision of job training and education to help the workforce adjust to future needs. There needs to be programs in place, and I'm sure there is, that help educate our current workforce on the direction that our world is heading. And there also needs to be an aspect of teaching our youth the same thing, preparing them for being resilient and what the future holds for this world. And finally, social well-being for all. This comes again with the reliable food supply and optimizes local production. You also want to have adequate health services, safe and healthy housing, high quality education for all members of the community. This is harping once again on education. Education needs to be a key in our community. Maintaining a place that is safe from crime and aggression. Increasing police presence, as well as the simple thing of adding LED lights to make people feel safe, make it brighter, will attract people. It will also protect people. You also want to foster a community spirit that creates a sense of belonging and a sense of place and a sense of self-worth. This involves the placemaking. You want people to be proud of where they come from, especially down here in downtown. There's a rich history here, and people deserve to know about that history, and people deserve to be proud of that history. Another would be protection, enhancement of public spaces and historic resources. As we know, there's a lot of historic places in and around Ashtabula as a whole, so preserving them should be key. But also the implementation of public spaces. We have a lot of areas down here that can be used to attract people. Just offering, just say urban plazas, for example, where people can come and work and feel safe, but also get work done. Just anything to bring people downtown will just help not only enhance the sense of the community as a whole, but also bring people down here and help the economic sector as well. And the final is adaptability to changing circumstances and conditions. Businesses, as well as residents, as well as the government, everyone needs to be adaptable and open to change, embrace change, become resilient. Those are keys to being socially well. As for implementation of what this plan could include, my first suggestion would be a city government comprehensive plan. I know the county is working on a pretty hefty land use plan that I got to read over this morning, and that's great. But as being Ashtabula's only city and being Ashtabula's largest city, I believe it's important that the city creates a comprehensive plan that focuses on long-range, manageable goals. This captures a vision where the community wants to be at some point in the future. So following again with the community input, you want the community to be involved in a plan for Ashtabula's future because you want people to stay here and see things through. What we hope to get out of that would be providing guidance for orderly growth and development along with physical appearance of the community. Also, it builds a consensus and commitment from elected and appointed officials, staff, and the overall community and other interested stakeholders, because the people in the community should be in charge of what goes on in their community, and there needs to be a guided mission for a future here. So citywide initiatives, this could be taken upon the city or community organizations. It'd be developing visible green improvements that encourage sustainability across the city. Examples of this would be a tree canopy project, like I mentioned before, that will lower energy costs, increase aesthetic value, and overall it's pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things. Other things would be tech-related things, such as high-efficiency LED street lighting across the city. That will encourage people to not only travel on foot more, but to feel safer just within their community, because I believe the statistics, 20 to 30% less crime is reported in the well-lit area as compared to dark areas. So that would be a key. Other things would be energy efficiency audits and upgrades of, say, city offices and services. This can be your business as well. Showing that you're committed to lowering your energy consumption, as well as upgrading certain things for your business or your office, can ultimately lower energy costs as well and lower your effect on the environment. And more at the baseline level would be sustainable business/resident guidelines and support. This would offer local businesses and residents guidelines and support to help implement sustainable practices into their everyday activities. This would offer a program to help understand sustainability and triple bottom line once again, and assist with the creation of a sustainable business plan so businesses can practice CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. And also offering residents incentives to lowering energy and waste consumption. If you can provide proof that it will help people save money, it's pretty easy to get people to jump on the train. And sustainability truly helps people save money, but also helps people save the environment as well. So for next steps, this project is nowhere near complete. It takes a long time to implement true sustainable change. But here are some possible next steps that can be taken in order to achieve a more sustainable Ashtabula. The first would be continue to assess community stakeholder support for sustainable Ashtabula initiatives. This would be through the use of community-wide surveys, just getting people's input based upon what they would potentially do, what they would buy in for, that type of thing. The next would be providing the necessary support to help all stakeholders involved to incorporate sustainability into their lives. We took the steps of offering just some helpful tips to practice sustainability in your own way. You can easily go online and search numerous ways to help practice sustainability as a whole too. And the final would be growing and marketing our current sustainability initiatives. For example, the community-wide recycling program, community gardens and community placemaking. I know those things are already happening here in the city, but making those more marketable and growing them and building upon them will contribute directly to a more sustainable Ashtabula. So in conclusion, taking the necessary steps towards a more sustainable future will contribute greatly in Ashtabula's livability, longevity, and legacy as being a key to Northeast Ohio's economic and environmental future. This process takes a collaborative effort between all community stakeholders in order to create a better community for everyone involved. And just going over some of the basic things I talked about, I define what sustainable development truly is. It's a triple bottom line, people, profit, planet, once again. Without those key three things, you can't have a sustainable future. Next would be I conducted the SWOT analysis based on community input. This assessed the level of understanding and buy-in of the community through interviews and surveys, and we nearly had 90 people respond so far, and I'm looking to see that number grow. And finally, a sustainable Ashtabula initiative. This focuses on building a sustainable community and encourages Ashtabula to become a leader in economic development, human development, and environmental preservation. These key three things will help make Ashtabula a better place. Just some acknowledgments. I'd like to thank the ADDA for giving me this opportunity, as well as Marty and Relicia for working with me throughout the summer, helping me every step of the way to get the project done. And also every stakeholder that took part in the interview process and survey process. Your information and input contributed directly into all the work I did, so I appreciate that. And also the Ashtabula Chamber of Commerce and Greg for hosting this event. Thank you. If you have any questions or need to reach out to me about anything, here's my contact information. It's also listed on the sheets in front of you. I'd be open to answer any long-winded questions, but right now I'll just open it up for any shorter questions if anyone has some. Yeah.
Name Kevin Gribby. Greg and I really like your tree canopy idea, and in fact, we're going to take it to our Kiwanis Rotary clubs.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to partner with them to take it on.
Awesome.
We'll also engage any other service club that wants to be a part of that.
Awesome.
So we think that's something that can be done and done quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
The resources we have.
Awesome. Well, let me know if you need anything. I appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Liam, are you going to have this PowerPoint available somewhere through ADDA, through the website? Or
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Liam, before I go too far, since most people here have no idea who I am, my name is Stephen Caldit. You have Mrs. Mills, the Democratic candidate for City Council for this ward. I'm the Republican candidate. Good evening. Quick question. You brought up adequate access to public information. What does that mean? Does that mean putting things on Facebook and hoping people see it? Does that mean having things in a newspaper? What does that mean? Can you go into that a little further?
I think that means everything.
Okay.
Truly, so I currently live in Berea, and as a resident of Berea, I get a monthly report of everything that goes on within the city. It's kind of a newsletter, so to say. In that sense, just mailing that out to every resident here in Ashtabula would probably be a key to just getting the community involved in the first place. Just dependent on if the people have internet access, have a computer, making sure that you get everyone's voices. That's very important.
one other bit. What would you say for a community that has a daily newspaper that only comes out 5 days a week? How do you deal with getting information to the public in a case where 2 days a week your daily newspaper does not come out anymore?
We've got a website.
Well,
Which does not update on those
Not
days.
the website, no, but they have an electronic paper on those 2 days.
Yeah, they do.
You can't, but, you know, you can cover things in 5 days, if you, I mean, because that covers it once a week, and they cover a lot. So just because it's not printed for 2 days doesn't mean information can't be there.
For subscribers only. And if you look at their subscriber totals, out of our city population, that's a very small fraction of our population.
To that, I'd say that that's most newspapers. You have to be subscribed to the newspaper to get access to the newspaper. So I think a citywide newsletter would probably be more feasible in regards to updating the city residents on what's going on in their city.
Okay, good job.
Anyone else?
So you mentioned that one of the strengths was the low cost of living, but one of the weaknesses was affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to.
So in regard to affordable housing, it kind of goes in line with having a diverse array of housing. You want to have equal access to not only low income housing but also high income housing. One of the things that a lot of my interviews identified was that there's kind of a divide between those. So not necessarily is adequate housing or low income housing a true weakness, but more so not having a diverse array of housing is the true weakness.
And I agree. I believe it should be changed then because we do have affordable housing. We definitely do. Yeah. So I would like to see that changed as a weakness into diverse housing, diverse types of housing.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, oh.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Camilla Cott, and I do facilitate educational programs that deal with the environment here in Ashtabula City. Since you mentioned that one of our strengths is we do have a great community, many of which are in this room today, that will come together, do you recommend maybe a next step is to form some type of committee? And if that is recommended, what are some next steps after that? Like, how can we tackle these bigger issues maybe in smaller steps?
These bigger issues, so initially I'd say creating some sort of sustainability commission, either with the city or some community organization would be the first major step. Just getting several educated, motivated people that kind of have a shared vision, so to say, to work together to help disperse the information, help disperse the resources to get it done. I'd say that'd probably be the first step.
Great, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Hi everybody, I'm David Kruger, I'm Liam's academic advisor at BW, and he's had a lot of wonderful growth and development. I mean, mentally and physically, well not so much physically, but he's always a big guy.
Yeah.
But certainly his mental and social development has been critical. Liam, there's only so much you can do in a summer internship.
Absolutely.
You're just kind of getting a bunch of snapshots, right? Trying to figure out what life looks like, and you're at an advantage because you've grown up and know this place. But if you had a magic wand and you could miraculously make 3 changes based on what you've seen, what would those projects be for this community?
So my first thing would once again be creating like a sustainability commission, probably within the city, and even at a county level as well. Having some sort of figure that's, I'd say, like endorsed by the government, but not completely ran by the government would be kind of a big thing in getting people involved, showing that there's backing from people in power, but also community stakeholders as a whole. That'd probably be the big thing. other things would be just simple infrastructure upgrades. If I had a magic wand to fix everything, that'd be a big key, because that's one of the things that's kind of holding things back.
I'm sure that's Jim's one too.
Please just tap it. Yeah, I know it takes time. It's an incremental process for sure. And the final thing would just be having everyone just be open to being educated about what sustainability is, being open to implementing these principles into their daily lives, into their business model, into the way they run their government. It involves everyone. The whole concept of sustainability as a whole is that it's supposed to be inclusive. So it involves everyone. So just implementing those simple changes within your life. There's simple solutions on this worksheet that kind of offer little glimpses in what you can do. Just reading that, spreading that knowledge, growing it. I think that'd be a major key.
And the two things that stuck out to me was the tree canopy idea, and that can be done pretty easily, at least in a sequential sort of way. Everyone loves trees, and the LED lighting also jumped out at me, because that's an instant cost saver.
Absolutely.
For individuals, for municipal budgets. We've done that at BW and have saved a ton of money.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Liam, thank you for doing this. I enjoyed my interview with you and everything.
Absolutely.
Two things real quick. First off, when you personally say infrastructure, what are you referring to? What do you see as our infrastructure?
I see a lot of things as infrastructure, from reliable internet connection to non-cracked sidewalks to roads not having potholes in it. You need to have something that's both visually appealing as well as in the sense it does its job. I'd say from power lines as well, pretty much everything that runs a community. Infrastructure is the veins of a community, in the sense if you're looking at it as a body. Without proper infrastructure, without a healthy infrastructure system, there's not much that can be done everywhere else. So, yeah.
Thank you. So in talking about that infrastructure, that might be one area where it's more on our part to do the education to people looking at Main Avenue, because we have high-speed fiber right here. I don't know if everybody knows that, but we do have high-speed fiber down on Main Avenue. And then the old Windstream building is actually where the Trump built. Almost all of the internet in Ashtabula comes through to get out to the rest of the world. Secondly, most of you know that we've already put LED lights around the Collins Boulevard area. Rick, I hope, has been keeping everybody up to date on the Main Avenue side from the tracks to 44th Street. Right now,
I thought you might want to say something on that, because we discussed it in our meeting, but we have not discussed it publicly.
Okay, so right now, and I've kept Rick informed on all the emails going back and forth. It's probably been 2 years now,
At least.
Yes.
trying to get answers. But I finally did get the quotes from the illuminating company. I have decided that the city's going to cover all the costs, so ADDA can put their funds towards something else. But we should have 15 new LED streetlights up and down Main Avenue. They have the PO, they have my commitment, I've signed documents. It's just a matter of them coming out. And I know the next excuse is going to be they just sent 500 trucks to down south, but hopefully we'll have that done soon.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
I don't know if you can answer this, but you mentioned bridging, downtown and the river. Are there people in the room, or did you get any sense out of your interviews of how that's possible? What can be done to do that? And if you didn't, does anybody have ideas?
You're talking about the park?
Well, you had talked about kind of trying to connect downtown and the river.
So, yeah.
So, Liam, I appreciate the presentation, and I really enjoyed our opportunity to have some discussion too.
Absolutely.
But that's one of the things, and I think the city manager can attest to, that is one of the unique aspects of Ashtabula that I don't think any amount of money or magic wand waving could ever create. What we have here in our river body that runs from essentially West 58th Street down to Walnut Beach and the Lift Bridge. And I think any part of a comprehensive plan for the city of Ashtabula should incorporate
Absolutely.
how we can focus on that unique asset to attract people in from a business development standpoint, an infrastructure improvement standpoint, a tourism standpoint, because you cannot recreate the natural beauty of that area. We are struggling right now because significant parts of that have been enjoyed by horseback riders, bike riders, hikers, walkers, is being exponentially destroyed by the encampments that are being created
Yeah,
down here,
absolutely.
being used as a human waste place and garbage dump. We have to get a hold of that problem and create more visibility and accessibility to that. And my magic wand would be taking this side of the river and turning it into more commercial, accessible use of storefronts, business fronts that have parking street side and glass on the backside, so that you can spend your day at work in your dentist office and your attorney's office and getting a haircut, looking out over the beautiful Gulf. And then as you go down Lake Avenue, managers reference, getting the infrastructure and the wires and the telephone poles, getting that infrastructure buried, replacing that sidewalks. That should be, if you work at ACMC, that should be where you want to live. Walk to work, bike to work, have a beautiful view of the Gulf, and that should be the place where all these doctors are located, not Lake County, Cuyahoga County.
Absolutely.
And then on the other side, you could create a magnificent residential neighborhood on the east side of town along those Gulf banks in areas that have really been dilapidated. It could be targeted for selective demo or refurbishing or Habitats for Humanity or other investment properties that you could turn $20,000, $30,000 houses into $100,000, $200,000 houses. But that's the unique opportunity I feel Ashtabula has.
Absolutely.
It's a huge undertaking, but the only way you're going to undertake it is one little bit at a time.
Absolutely.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, I think it's really about capitalization. So, I know we don't talk about it a lot. However, we're going to have about 130 some odd units coming online, brand new, soon, between the Carlisle building, the Castle Block, and the Chestnut properties. And that is, when you talk about diverse housing, that is going to be from upper echelon rents to low to moderate and working income rentals. So there's an opportunity, 132 units, which probably is going to equate to 250 or so people in newer or new housing, all within a walking distance up here. So that population is coming, and it's about how do we capitalize on it. Now, I can tell you, I have been pretty intimately involved with the relocation of just office space, and when we talk about buildings and their conditions now, that is probably the most difficult thing we have going right now. Is I can't bring someone to a building without them spending $80,000 to $100,000 to be able to open the building. I would say, beyond.
And 6 months or a year.
Exactly. We have a couple situations where people have to move quickly, and we just don't have that. So when we talk about that buy-in from the local, or the buy-in from the building owners, that's an important piece. In addition to that, what we did earlier on in the year by making this a historic area, that opens up funds from historic preservation and different things like that. It is a complicated game. Sometimes that quote-unquote free money isn't worth the time and effort, but we will go through all those processes with you. So, and then again, as Liam said, the tranches of money that are being printed in the basements in Washington, we're going after every dollar of that we can. We were notified that we had like 3 days to put an application in. Well, luckily we have a lot of different things on the shelf that we can throw at people. So we were able to get some of those things in, but they're coming hot and fast, and we got to be ready. The other connection part that you were talking about with the golf, if you remember when we did the streetscape plan a couple of years back, there was actually one of those renderings near the parking deck right behind us that had like a lookout platform / walkway down to the golf right next to the the 46th Street Bridge. So that's another, all of that needs to be intertwined. I know everybody hates the bike lane on West Avenue. I can tell you I guided 5 people in from, can't remember where they were from, but the collective cost of their bikes, just their bikes alone, were 2 of my brand new cars. I had bike envy like you wouldn't believe. Expensive bikes. Those people are riding through our main avenues now. Those people are riding down the Bridge Street. And they're spending money. Bikers are crazy people. I'm not one of them. And they've got a lot of expendable money. So that's another area of that tourism that we're bringing in.
Yeah,
There
for
was
sure.
a question,
Liam asked the parks that he wanted to know where does it connect to Main Avenue. As to the encampments Mr. Ducrow brought up, why my attire looks the way it does, because I'm one of the people that trips over them in Indian Trails Park, who documents them and sends the photos and GPS coordinates to the Park Commission. So that's why I look the way I do tonight. That being said, Indian Trails Park connects in Ward 4 in 3 places. Valley View Boulevard, there is one entrance there. There's another entrance to Service Road on East 51st Street. The third entrance is a closed entrance because it's not passable for human beings, and it's actually on Main Avenue. So the park does connect in 3 spots. I went down the entrance on Valley View, fell and hurt my knee down there. There is a stone walkway down. The access road on 51st Street, if you take it down, goes all the way down to the river, and you can look up, you can see the railroad bridge. And I took a picture of that once, shared it in a technical discussion group I'm in, and someone asked me did I have leaked game art from a new version of Fallout. So
what's that?
it's a post-apocalyptic dystopia game. And they're going, did you have leaked game art? No, this is actually a park where I am in my town. So we have a lot of beautification to do. But that's where it connects, 3 spots.
Yeah, I'd say just making it more accessible, safety, just more people friendly. It's probably definitely a key there.
There was a question directed, Jim, there was a question in regards to the timing for the additional residencies. And we know that Castle Block is underway now, but are you allowed to give any insight as to the timing for the other?
Yeah, almost all of the financial pieces are in place to move to the Carlisle project. So, of course, that same construction company that's working in Castle Block will be working on Carlisle. So I anticipate that'll come over quarter 4, I think, of this year. So we're getting real close to that. Well, September is quarter 4. Sometime by the end of this year, I hope to see some of those workers over here. They've been going in and out a little bit, just getting some prep stuff ready. They did drop off the sets of drawings needed that the county had to go over. Massive pile of stuff for us to get through. So it's exciting, and the renderings are unbelievable. So hopefully we'll see some action there. But I want to say that was a good year for that project. So we probably won't have that online until 2023.
Okay. I just want to add my 2 cents because I had thought first of all, Liam, you did an outstanding job.